What's going on YouTube? So the Mercedes S-Class has long been the benchmark which everyone else measures themselves against. But what I'm standing next to right now is the all-new S-Class, which is promising to further elevate that benchmark as well as prioritize technology in a bigger way than ever before. So today we're going to deep dive into this new model and see if this is the luxury, opulent, and high-tech sedan that your money should buy. So being an iconic luxury product, you wouldn't expect the S-Class to change too much, and indeed, it does take a more evolutionary approach to the exterior changes of this all-new model. However, as you actually get up close to it and take a closer look to it, you're going to notice that things like this grille, which are roughly the same shape as the outgoing model, are indeed bigger, slightly more aggressive, I guess you could say. And since we have the luxury line, we have a lot of chrome and kind of a smoother finish down through here. But if you chose the AMG line model, that will update this lower fascia to look just a little bit more aggressive. Now, in addition to that, you'll notice up here you have that signature Mercedes hood ornament, which I believe now is the only model that still has the stand-up hood ornament. Certainly a nice, classy, and elegant touch. And then coming over here to your headlights, you have a beautiful arrangement of LEDs here. As you would expect, it's going to have all the latest technology. So this is the wide beam LEDs with full adaptive abilities, and every single component is LED inside of this unit. Now moving on to the wheels as the next thing. We actually have the base wheel option on this particular S-Class. So this is a 19-inch silver alloy, certainly a more conservative look, but you do have plenty of other options available at 20 and 21 inches with a little bit more contrast to spice up the look. And then moving up here to your mirrors, of course this is a flagship sedan, so it's got all the options. You've got power folding, blind spot monitoring, auto dimming, and heating.
Now, what other spot can you recognize that this is a Mercedes S-Class better than the side? Because, I mean, you just know from how long it is, it looks like a limo. It's 208 inches long, which actually does mean it's a little bit longer than the previous generation S-Class. It's also longer than its competition, the BMW 7 Series. And here in the US, you're gonna have only the extended wheelbase, which is this one right here, and it is just absolutely massive. Now, as far as other things they've thrown in, you of course notice the door handles that are flush with the exterior. They do pop out when you walk up to them. And then heading around to the rear design, you're going to notice a little bit of a sportier look than the previous S-Class, although it's still very tasteful and elegant. They're definitely not going to rock the boat and make this a sporty vehicle, but overall, just a very beautiful look to it. So we have this chrome piece that goes in between the taillights. Once again, very classy. We have a Mercedes emblem right here. We can also opt for a spoiler if you want to spice it up a little bit. As far as the taillights, they're going to be a piece of art. They're going to be full LED. We have the amber turn signal up here on the top. Then if we drop down to this area, we are going to have trapezoidal exhaust standard on every single model. Since this one is just a regular model, we have chrome. If you go for the AMG line, you're going to have a black surround. Now, as you would expect out of a flagship sedan, Mercedes is going to throw in every single one of their safety systems standard on every single model of the S-Class. So this will be your forward emergency braking and pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, auto high beams, and an adaptive cruise control system with a traffic jam assistant. Now, additionally, there are available rear seat airbags, and the vehicle will raise itself in the event of a T-bone collision to mitigate the impact. But anyway, guys, that sums up the very classy, elegant design of the S-Class on the outside. I know there's some pretty revolutionary technology on the inside, though, so let's go ahead and check that out. And before we do that, please help us out by hitting that subscribe button down below. Also, like and leave us a comment.
So walking up to the new S-Class, you do have a new key fob for the Mercedes brand. It's really a beautiful key fob. As you can see, it is mostly made of metal with these piano black accents. Really fits into the hand nicely and has a really solid heft to it. And like I said, just really a lovely thing. Kind of feels like a pebble to hold it. Of course, you do have a standard keyless go entry system, and I'll go ahead and show you guys the new pop-out door handles. As you can see, they do retract inside the vehicle and then pop out. And to get inside, you're just going to grab this handle and put some pressure on it, and then the door will open up. Take a look inside at this beautiful new cabin. Of course, being an S-Class means you really set the standard for interior luxury. And at first glance inside this cabin, it certainly makes a strong first impression with just beautiful materials and a really nice design. Now, speaking of materials, let's go ahead and talk about what your options are. So this is going to come standard with real leather. However, our model is going to come with the beautiful quilted Napa leather in your choice of black, sienna brown, or macchiato beige colors. Now you can also get exclusive Napa leather, which adds more Napa leather in different places around the cabin as well. And that comes with a couple more color choices of carmine red and silver gray. Now, as far as your different trim pieces, you've got 5 different woods you can choose from. This one here has a burled walnut with the high gloss finish. Now turning over here to your door trim, of course it is beautifully finished. You have leather over pretty much every surface, including here on your armrest. A nice quilted leather that runs all through the center, and leather along the top as well. Now, a really nice design feature, you kind of have this metal and piano black panel that floats out here, and this is going to contain your seat controls. So what's new this year is the fact that these seat controls, they look the same as previously, but they don't actually move. What happens is you put pressure on this panel. As you apply the pressure, this is actually what moves the seat back and forth, up and down, all that stuff like that. Mercedes says this is 12-way power adjusting, plus you do have power adjusting headrest, power thigh extension, all types of adjustments. You also have standard 3-stage heated seats and 3-stage ventilated seats. These are also kind of touch sensitive buttons, and this whole panel moves. And then there's your 3-person memory seating. Your headlight controls are actually over here on the door inside of a piece of wood. And then you've got some beautiful real metal switches for your 4 fully automatic windows and your control for the rear sunshade. Now, like I was saying, we do have the beautiful Napa leather with a great quilted design. Nice size bolsters as well to hold you in place. And of course, these seats are absolutely phenomenal. You can also option on a pillow for the front seats as well. And the S-Class does come standard with the soft closed doors. Now, looking around the cabin, you'll notice this vehicle has a lot more of a high-tech vibe than the previous generation. But as far as the materials, they are just as rich as ever. So looking at our upper dashboard, this is all going to be finished in a nice leather material with the color contrast stitching detail. As we move down to the center panel, you've got a huge piece of whatever trim you choose. Like I said, we do have the burled walnut on this model, which is a little hard to see due to the reflection, but it really is beautiful in person just how much of the trim you have. Of course, you have beautiful real metal vents here with great detailing. As we move down here, you got this panel here will be covered in piano black, and then you do have a nice leather material along the side here. Obviously, everything is going to fit together absolutely immaculately because this is an S-Class after all. Now, to start up this new S-Class, you're going to put your foot on the brake and press the standard button, which feels very nice, by the way. So after you fire up the vehicle, you're going to be greeted with this gauge cluster. So this is pretty similar to the outgoing generation. Actually, this is a 12.3-inch full digital display, of course, as you can see, but now it is no longer connected to the main display. It just kind of stands out here on its own. So this does have plenty of cool features, as you would expect. So you go down to the steering wheel here and you can start to control things. When you press on the home display, this is going to bring you to all your different designs, and you've got a lot of different ones you can choose between. So we have kind of a white theme. You also have themes like this one over here, which will emphasize your navigation above all of the other functions. So really cool stuff and really nice looking. Now, this is the standard gauge cluster. You can actually get a really cool 3D digital gauge cluster, and that actually uses facial scanning to give you a three-dimensional look like it's coming off of the screen. That's available as an option. We also don't have it on this particular example, but you have the brand new AR as an augmented reality head-up display. So that's going to project things out way in front of you with like arrows and things that kind of progress towards you. Really cool stuff. Again, due to COVID, there's quite a bit of features that are just kind of hard to come by right now. I did fail to mention earlier as well, the seats should have standard massage, but on this specific example, we just have a credit for that and it is not equipped. Again, there's just a lot of part shortages with COVID, but all these things will come around to the S-Class if you give it time. Now let's take a look at this brand new steering wheel here. So this is the, of course, newest design. You'll notice that we have touch-sensitive buttons instead of the previous kind of metal buttons. These are actually very easy to use. They're very responsive as you use them. This one here on this side controls the main display. This controls those gauges right there. And of course you have the beautiful leather covered airbag cover. On this specific example, we have wood trim that's tracing all the outside. If you don't like that though, you can choose to have it finished in full Napa leather. As far as the steering wheel itself, it is going to be power adjusting, and we do also have the optional heating right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at interior storage. So we'll turn over here to our center console. Of course, you just press that button there, it splits in half. And you notice we have a very generously sized center console. Plenty of space, nice felt lining inside, as well as two USB Type-C controllers. And you know how to do it. Here are the coupons. We have to be fair and test out every car, even if you probably don't use coupons in your S-Class. So stick those in there. They're gonna fit no problem whatsoever. Now up in front of that, we do have this panel here, and you press on this and it's gonna slide back and reveal to you this whole storage area. So we have two cup holders, one with an adjustable insert. You have two more USB Type-C connections. You have a nice pad here, which is gonna hold your phone in place, or you can go in front of that and slide it into this nice wireless phone charging pad. Furthermore, it's a little hard to see here, but behind this display we do have another storage area, which is nice and does also have a rubber lining as well. And of course, where is the shifter? It's up here on the column in typical Mercedes fashion. As you can see, we do have the newest Mercedes switchgear where it's hollow right there and has nice metal trim on the end. But as far as the actual operation is exactly the same. So you're just gonna press down forward drive. You can shift manually with these standard paddle shifters, which are made of real metal and feel very satisfying to click on. For reverse, you're just going to bump up in the opposite direction. And when you do, of course, you will be greeted with a 360-degree camera system. So as you can see, we do have active trajectory. We also have our regular bird's eye view, but you have a lot more views you can choose between. So you can press this button here. You're going to go to the front camera. This will give you, or this button right here is going to bring you to the back corner so that you can keep an eye on the curb and stuff like that. And in addition to that, you can just grab this display here and basically just start sliding around. And as you can see, you have this full 360-degree representation, like in a drone-like view. Really, really beautiful graphics. Super impressive. As you can see, very responsive as well. This might be the best version of this I have ever seen in any vehicle. And when you're done messing with all those features, just press the end of that stalk there to park the vehicle. You do also have automatic parallel and perpendicular parking abilities as well. Now let's take a look next here at this little console that's popped out right here. This is going to contain a few different functions. First of all, one of the interesting things about this is as you touch in, this entire panel actually depresses, so it's not exactly touch sensitive. And those are your different drive modes. Of course, you can cycle between all of those, and it does change different things. We'll talk about that a little later in the test drive. One of the more interesting features, though, is the fact that you're going to notice this right here. this is actually a fingerprint reader, so that's really neat. You sync up your different settings and stuff with the different people to the different fingerprints, and I'm sure Mercedes can also add maybe additional functionality in the future, you know, to authenticate different things and stuff like that. There's a lot of possibilities, but this is one of the few vehicles that do have a fingerprint reader inside of them. And let's take a look at the audio system next. So we do have the standard Burmester sound system on this one, as you would expect, since we do have a more basic equipped model. And we'll go ahead and take a sample of that, and then I'll tell you about the upgraded sound system. So overall sound quality of this system, of course, is fantastic, as you would expect. The touch sensitive slider here works just fine. It doesn't bother me at all. But I do want to talk about the Burmester 4D sound system, which is new for the S-Class. You may think, what is the fourth dimension? It's actually the fact that the seats, when you choose that system, have resonators built into them, which basically gives you vibration as the bass happens in the music. So it's really cool. You actually have a physical feel of bass in addition to the other 30 speakers that this thing has, and that's yours for the optional $6,700. But now let's go ahead and start taking a look here at this brand new display. So the size on this is 12.8 inches, so it's a little bit larger than the previous 12-inch display, but of course the big news is that it has a new orientation. This is portrait style, which does make the MBUX system look a little bit different. Now the first thing I notice is just how crisp everything looks. That's because it's now using OLED technology, so the colors really pop, and of course the performance is phenomenal. Down here in the lower part, this is where your climate controls will live. So adjusting the temperature is very straightforward. You're just going to click. I will say there is a haptic feedback, so it actually kind of feels like you're clicking a physical button, which is pretty nice. These are your basic functions. If you need to get to the more detailed stuff, you're just going to click Climate Menu. That's where you can change your zones. That's also where you can click into air quality and turn on and off your ionization, as well as the standard fragrance system with the different levels and of course the different scents that you can install inside of it. Now clicking back to our home screen here, this is MBUX like I said, but it does look a little different since you have the different layout. Of course you're just going to swipe through your different apps through here. Your navigation kind of has a little area up here and you can click into it if you want to blow it up. Obviously it is going to take up the entire display, and the graphics here are definitely really increased. One of the things I notice is like little details like how the water shimmers and looks like it's moving. So that's really a cool detail that they've added to this, and it is extremely responsive. One of the other features that they've added to this is the fact that we have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. So if I click up there, I have already connected to my phone, so you can see it takes up the entire top of the display, which I'm very happy to see. So this is our Google Earth Maps that we can use through this. You can also click into your different stuff like the music that's playing, and you also have the secondary screen off there on the side as well. Now I could talk about this display pretty much all day, but that would quickly balloon this video to an unreasonable length, so I'm just going to leave that there and move on up here to our mirror, which is of course a frameless design with our HomeLink universal remotes built into it. And then up here on the roof you have this kind of cool floating panel with again some more touch sensitive controls. If you look right there in the center, this is for your sunroof. So you just swipe back on that and that's what's going to open up the sunshade. And then you have a separate button if you want to open up the rear sunshade, because of course it is a dual panel setup. And the front panel does open up.
Well guys, what do I have to say about this rear seat? All I want to say is that I really want to take a nap right now, but I guess I'm going to have to talk about this. It is my job, but this has got to be, I mean, it's insane, this rear seat. This is pretty much the fully base S-Class, and look at how nice it is. I will talk about the space first. So we have 44 inches of legroom, which is larger than the outgoing S-Class. We have 39 inches of headroom. As you can see, there is not going to be any problem, regardless of how tall you are, fitting back here. I'm 5'9", and behind Drew's sitting position, I have, I would say, probably 1.5 feet, if not 2 feet of space, and my feet can slide easily up underneath of the seat. Now, in order to maximize your comfort, you're noticing that I'm probably leaned back a little bit, and that's because we have the warmth and comfort package on this particular model. That's going to throw in your power adjusting rear seats. So over here on the door, we have the option to kind of recline out or sit further up. We also have 3-person memory seats for the rear area as well. We're also going to have heating and ventilation. You're also probably noticing that we do have extra buttons on the rear windows, and that's because we have standard rear window sunshades. We also have the ability to control the panoramic moonroof here on the top. So, I mean, really, there is almost nothing that you can complain about in this base model. And then you can also further option on even more stuff like massaging rear seats. You could have the dual tablet screens in the back, as well as your own controller right here. There's a lot of stuff that you can get if you want to even further spice this rear area up, but I mean, it's so comfortable, and I'm also a huge fan of these pillows. They make it extremely, extremely comfortable back here. Now, as far as other features, here in the center, we are going to have standard vents, as you would expect. They're also here on the B-pillar as well. This model, since we are lightly optioned, we're actually missing out on our own climate controls, so that would be nice to have. But below that, we do have a household style outlet, as well as 2 USB Type-Cs. And then this right here is your center armrest. This would be used for controls on the higher end models, but on this one it's just blank. And then we have a nice center console that is felt lined, and you can fold it up if you need extra space. Now, as you would expect out of a flagship luxury sedan, you are going to have a hands-free power trunk, standard across all of the models. Just wave your foot under the bumper to open it up. And once inside, you're going to have 12.9 cubic feet of space in this S-Class's cargo area. That is going to be improved a little bit over the previous generation S-Class. And, you know, overall, it looks like a good amount of space. It is worth noting, though, that you can't fold the seats down because it does have that power ability. So you're only going to have the trunk pass through. So you're not going to be hauling anything long in here. Get another vehicle to do that. I know you have the money if you can afford one of these. And then as far as the finishings, we do have really nice finishings. There's a plush carpeting along the bottom, and if we lift that up, we are going to have actually quite a bit of additional space. There's a little cubby down here. We also have LED lighting, and there's a little cubby on the right side with a 12 volt power outlet. Now, your passenger seat, of course, will be plenty of ways of adjusting. I believe it's the same as the driver's. We're also going to have 3-person memory seats. That's also standard equipment. And then if we open up the glove box, it is nicely leather wrapped. And as you would expect, it's going to be really nicely felt lined in here as well. It goes back quite a good ways. We do also have a good look at our fragrance system that's going to be included on the S-Class. And the coupons, you know, we brought them. No car is too expensive to have some coupons in the glove box, because that is how you afford vehicles like this. You don't spend it on random things like food. So save money on that. And then up top, we have a sun visor. We have a nice mirror. It's also LED illuminated. This is also going to be the 2-part sun visor setup, so you can have one down here as well as on the side. Wow.
Dang.
That's fast.
That really is fast.
What the?
Yeah, so this is the base engine, which you may think base engine, you know, it's not even a V8, but it certainly puts plenty of power. So what this actually is a 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder with Mercedes EQ Boost mild hybrid system. Of course, what the EQ Boost does, as with in other Mercedes applications, is it does boost the power. It also helps power really advanced auto start stop, which we'll show you guys in just a second, as well as some of the electronics and stuff inside of the vehicle. And altogether, this is making 429 horsepower. And 0 to 60 is still 4.8 seconds with this model.
That's so
from
fast.
This gigantic S-Class.
Wow.
So it really does move.
And really what strikes me the most about it is it's so nonchalant about it. You completely floor it. You still can't even hear the engine or anything. You just get moving. And I mean, that is exactly what this type of buyer is looking for. Just the power on demand, but still has a luxurious feel to it. Now, I'd say even then, most people will still probably get the higher end engine, the S580, and that's going to have a 4-liter twin turbo V8 that also has EQ boost as well. And that's going to have 496 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. So certainly very quick there. 0 to 60 is 4.4 on that model.
Right, and you can go all the way up. I believe there's an offering of a V12 with the Maybach version, so
Yeah.
you can get any type of engine you really want. But if you were wondering, is this base engine a sacrifice? I think the answer is no, as you can really tell already in this review.
But before we, accelerate again here, I want to talk about the ride quality for the S-Class. I don't want to leave you guys waiting on this part of the video because I know that's what you're here for. The S-Class, I don't know how they do it, man. I really don't. I have to give Mercedes engineers a round of applause every time I get in an S-Class because this is literally some of the best ride quality you can get. I think this might be the best riding vehicle I've ever ridden in, period. And I can't say I'd noticed the difference between this one and the old S-Class, but it absolutely is phenomenal. You have the air suspension. There's so many different elements just making your experience so
Adaptive
great.
dampers as well. It all just works together so seamlessly. Really just leaves you saying, what bump?
Yeah.
You see it, but you just don't feel it. It's really incredible. And speaking of things that are incredible, pay attention to the tachometer as we come to a stop here at this red light. So one of the things you probably noticed is the fact that the engine shuts off before you even come to a stop. That's one of the features with the EQ boost. And the auto start stop on this is just superb. So we're gonna move up here and we'll see this engine restart. And notice I said see the engine restart. You have to look right at this tachometer to know what's going on. It's absolutely imperceptible. It's so easy for me to say that this is the best auto start stop that money can buy. Mercedes just does it better than everyone else, period. I mean, this is actually auto start stop. There's no reason you would ever turn it off because you cannot know that it's operating.
And let's mention the fuel economy since we were talking about that. The EQ boost is definitely going to help you in the fuel economy department. The S500 is going to be rated at 24 miles a gallon combined. It's even 29 on the highway, so cruising down the highway can be almost getting 30 miles per gallon in an S-Class. Absolutely great. If you go for the S580, you are going to pay a little bit of a penalty at 20 combined, so 4 mpg worse for that model. And both of them are going to have standard all-wheel drive.
Power just comes on so smoothly and you can just barely hear the engine. And looking out over this long hood with the
Mercedes.
3-pointed star right stuck up on the hood, it really does feel like a special experience behind the wheel. Now let's talk about the transmission. So this has got a 9-speed automatic transmission. You wouldn't really know how many gears it was behind the wheel because just like with many of the aspects of this vehicle, it just operates seamlessly in the background, so buttery smooth that you don't even, realize. So, just another aspect of blending in the background.
Yeah.
You do have paddle shifters. I have no idea who would actually use them, but you do have nice paddle shifters made of metal, which I appreciate.
And, let's go ahead and mention the pricing for this. I don't want you to get your hopes up that you're going to be able to afford one of these just yet, because it is an awesome driving experience, and it's one of the world's best sedans ever, but it is going to cost you a pretty penny. So the 500 is going to start at $109,800. which is about a $10,000 increase over the previous generation S-Class in its base configuration. Now, that is to say, they have made a lot of improvements with this new model, and the S580 is going to be 116.3. This one, as equipped, is a very, very base model. We also have credits for a few of the missing equipment items that this one does have since the COVID parts shortage. So this one's going to be $115,045 after we add in the destination.
Let's get up to 55 here and get the sound level reading.
$50.4. 50.4.
It's really windy outside too. That's the only thing I can hear is a little bit of just the wind. I mean, it's like a library in here. It's crazy.
I have to admit, I just want to take a nap, and it's not because this vehicle is boring, but it's so quiet in here and so comfortable. The seat is amazing. I literally just am in nap mode right now. And we almost forgot to do our airball and slam dunk, because I guess that kind of goes without saying. The slam dunk is almost the whole thing. I'd just say the luxury experience. It's unrivaled by really anything I've ever been in before. It's unreal. The airball, if I had to come up with something, I would say that I'm not a huge fan of the exterior. It's just a little bit too, I don't know. They didn't do a lot to it, which I think is probably a smart move, especially now that they have the that new electric S sedan coming up. So that's going to be the more spicy option in the lineup, but it is pretty bland on the outside, especially in this configuration.
But all in all, what bad is there to say about this experience behind the wheel of this S-Class? It's really just amazing. This is a wow kind of car. You know, when you drive an S-Class, you really think, wow, all these other luxury cars, they're not even that nice compared to this. I mean, really, it just kind of resets your mind to a whole new place that it wasn't before. And I think with this new generation, they took all that stuff that was always strong about the S-Class, and they just added another layer of advanced technology, you know, and really just enhances the experience. So this here is just the S-Class that you're used to, with another layer of awesomeness to it.
Well guys, that's going to wrap up this in-depth review of the all-new 2021 Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Now, of course, it's a very elegant and awesome vehicle, but we do have a lot of other vehicles on our channel as well. So if you can't afford one of these, we probably have a vehicle you can't afford on the channel, so be sure to check that out. Also, hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, like, and comment. So there's 4 things you need to do. Please do all 4 of those. We really appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.